everyone. So this video is going to be something a little different from usual. Rather than a sort of brief explanation of any particular subject, this is just going to be a raw and entirely real video of me showing off a particular process. In this case, I'm going to be showing off how I go around building face posing for my models. The reason for this video is over the years I've had people ask me questions on various steps of this process, ranging from how do I actually get the flexes compiled into models in Source Filmmaker, all the way back to what program do I use, and basically every step in between. So I'm just going to go through and show my raw process. I'm going to give some commentary as I go. Be aware this video is going to probably end up being between 30 and 40 minutes long. That's about how long it takes me to face pose a model. And with that being said, we're going to start with some preliminary commentary on the setup before I get things started. So the first thing you notice is that we're working on Maya from Borderlands 2. And the second thing you notice is she's missing most of her body. And her hair, and she does not look good without her hair. She really needs her hair. So the reason for that is that, flexes only affect certain portions of the model. In this particular case, it's only going to be for the face. And so the way that flexes work in the source engine is they are actually just a derivative format of the raw model format, which is the SMD, Studio MDL data. And so, if you have the full model in your flex frames, then you get a very large flex file. And the larger the flex file is, the longer it takes for the compiler to process, and the slower it takes to compile. And so I just optimize away all of the mesh that I know isn't going to be used. Like, I know while posing her face, her left leg isn't going to be affected, so her leg doesn't need to be there. And so I just end up deleting everything but all of the face-related elements, so mouth internals, eyes, such like that, and then a little bit of the chest area, because the throat flexes do have some effect here. But I know for a fact I won't be moving the vertices any lower than right here, and I highly doubt they would be moving anything even down here, but I like to give myself a little bit of leeway. So with that being said, we're going to begin with the bone-related flexes. So the first question that I'll bring up that I get asked a lot is, do I use bones or do I use vertices for my face posing? And the question is vertices for everything but the jaw and the eyelids. So those are always the ones that I do first, just to get the bone posing out of the way. So we'll start with that, and the first thing we will do is we will start by exporting out a base frame. So most people who use 3ds Max use the morpher modifier and then export out their flexes all in a single file. I don't do that, mostly because I've never gotten the flex exporter, the VTA exporter, to work properly for my 3ds Max. So I actually went around and wrote my own tool and my own workflow for doing it. And that involves saving out each individual morph as its own SMD file, and then using an external tool to compile them together into a single optimized VTA. And I find in general experience, and this is entirely anecdotal, but the flex files that my process generates tend to be more efficient than the way that the VTA exporter in 3ds Max works, just because I imagine the exporter for 3ds Max is a very naive one and just exports every frame, whereas my tool only exports the differences in frames. So it makes a smaller file that compiles even faster. It's just a personal detail. So always start with exporting out your model without any changes. The base should be identical to the reference mesh, and that is for technical reasons as to how the source engine does flexes, how it binds the morphs in the VTA to the actual mesh. If there's any changes between the morphs or the flex's base and the reference, they don't bind correctly. So keep them identical. So now that I've exported out this base and I'm making these flexes, if I make any changes to any of this region in the reference, all of my flexes will be null and void. I'll have to throw them all out, they won't work, and I'll have to do them all again. So let's not do that. So with that base frame exported, we will start with the bone related. And the first one I always do is the jaw, because the jaw is not only the most important, but it's also the trickiest. So this particular model, I had to do a lot of work fixing it up so it works as well as it does. And it's still not perfect, but for our purposes, I think it will be sufficient. So I've already custom rigged this, so I could probably get away with doing something like this. So I'm setting my rotate view to be using the center of the viewport. And I'm going to put it about right here. And open the jaw, and I want to go about as far as I can without the vertices clipping into each other around the chin. Because if they clip, then in source they'll end up folding the faces, which causes unlightable black spots. And I want to avoid that. So we have that. I will move the corners of her mouth down a little bit so it looks a bit smoother. I'm going to throw a edit mesh on top of this above the skin. And then I'm just going to grab these vertices. Probably. Let me check if there are any. Okay, they are mouth corner bones. Let's see if they're any good. No. So like I said, this model the face was rigged very poorly. It took me about 2 hours to get the bones to work as well as they do now. And then of course I only worked on the bones that I directly use, which are the jaw and eyelids. So we'll just turn on some soft selection, and we'll just select those corners, and then we'll just soft selection a bit wider, and let's make it a stronger pinch. And let's do that, and let's actually select down a bit, something like that. Let's see how that works. Yeah, that's still a bit much. Gotta kind of finagle it. Might end up abandoning doing this if the mesh doesn't behave. And it's looking like the mesh might end up not behaving. We'll seal this in a bit to kind of keep the shape. And then I think I'm going to select these edges, and I'm going to hit with a bit of a relax. Oh yeah, that's working much better. Let's take some of those nasty creases out. So if I turn that relax off, you see these really nasty creases and edges. With that relax on though, it's just in general a whole lot nicer and it's a much smoother mouth deformation. So then we export that as the jaw drop flex. Export with explicit normals. And then we just undo our changes to get back to the base pose. There we go. And then we do the next flex, which is also on the jaw. And now I'm going to set it back to be pivoting off where the bone itself is. I'm going to raise her jaw a bit. And this will be jaw raise. And then I will pull the jaw back. And this is jaw recede. And this flex by itself does not look very good. A lot of the flexes I build are supportive or additive, which means that they are designed to be working in conjecture with other flexes. So like for example, this jaw forward doesn't look really good by itself, but if you were to combine it with this jaw down like that, then the end result would be something closer to that, is the way that those flexes work. And so let's go and make that jaw forward flex again. View our jaw forward. Those are the jaw flexes. Let's do the eyelids next. Eyelid, upper, and then what I'm doing right here is rather than trying to actually find the bones going through this list, I just type in keywords that I know are in them. I know that there's eyelid, and I know it's followed somewhere with upper, and the stars or wild cards means any character. So in this case, head is the first asterisk, then eyelid, then that space is the second asterisk, and then upper. So that matches those and only those. So I'll select those. And then the way that these particular eyelids are rigged is I literally just pull them down to make the eyelid closing flex. And these took a long time for me to fix the rigging. It's still not entirely perfect. Trust me, it's about 17 billion times better than it was originally. So that's eyelid top lower. Export. We go the other way for the raise. Eyelid top raise. Okay, now let's see if the lower eyelids are rigged decently. As I did not change how these are rigged, and it's not the best. Let's see if I can do this without the bones. So we will turn on soft selection. We do 99/1 for now. So the eyelashes are a separate mesh than the actual eyelids. That's fine. That's fairly common. So we'll just kind of go like this. Oh yeah, that'll work nice. Go like that, and then we bring it forward. There we go. So now I am done using the bones. The rest of the flexes I make from this point on are done through vertex manipulation like we just saw. So this is eyelid bottom raise. And the reason why I do flexes using vertices as opposed to bones, as you just saw when I tried to do this with bones, it required a lot of work with me doing that rigging. And I don't use bones in Source FieldMaker. I purely use the flexes, both because they're faster and I feel that they give a more consistent control, and I honestly feel that they're honestly better in 90% of all cases. And so I don't see the point in me taking the time to rig the bones and then make the flexes when I can cut out the middleman and just make the flexes directly using precise editing controls of vertices as opposed to having to jury rig weight rigging. So that's why I don't use bones when I am making flexes, with the exception of the jaw and eyelid bones, because those are both very tricky. I'm going to actually try doing a rotation. So I'm currently in rotate, and I have set it to rotate around the center of my viewport. I'm going to put it right in the corner of the eyelid and just rotate it down. And then I'll hold up a little bit and forward a little bit. And that's good enough. Eyelid bottom lower. And so that's why I don't use bones, is I just prefer the direct control that I'm given using vertex manipulation. So now that the eyelids are done, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to go down the line. So first we'll start with eyebrow flexes. And I do need to warn that Borderlands models are notoriously awful for eyebrow flexes, because as you can see, the vertices don't actually follow the flow of the eyebrow texture, which most models do, since our eyebrows follow our brow line and the vertices define the shape of the brow line. So it would make sense for the vertices to follow the brow line, but when designing the Borderlands characters, Gearbox decided not to do that for whatever clandestine reason they might have. And so as a result, they are notoriously awful for making flexes. And so I'm using this viewport to make sure that the transform, which is in the average position of every selected vertice, is exactly in the center, because that then tells me that I have the same vertices selected on both sides. And then with my soft selection, I'm going to pull up, and as you can see, I have some pulling of the eyelids over here, which means that my soft selection is too big. So we'll try 0.85, not 85. Yeah, that's looking better. Let's try 0.8. 0.75. Yeah, I think that'll work. So then we just pull these eyebrows up. I'm going to actually grab that center set as well. Pull these up. I'm going to actually grab these vertices too. And then grab that bridge. I'm up here because I saw as I was pulling these up that the tops of the eyebrows were starting to get compressed a bit. So I'll just go like this. Goes up, and then I will deselect this bottom ring. Actually, I'll deselect that, and then I'll bring this down a bit. There we go. So then that's eyebrow raise. And then we undo the changes again, and we go the other way. So for this one, I'm going to make it a bit more of a selection. Like this. There we go. There's her scowl. So eyebrow lower. Okay, and now for the most complex flex out of the set that I make, which is the inner eyebrow. And you'll see why it's the most complex very shortly. So I'm going to select these vertices. Pull them up, and these vertices, pull them up, grab this vertex and pull it up, grab these vertices, change the soft selection to 0.65, pull it up, grab these vertices, push them down, grab these vertices again, and pull them up. And there we go. That's why it's the most complex. There's just a lot of fidangling. You can see that it's a bit raw over here. It's a bit bumpy. And so I'm just going to select this vertex. Make the soft select a bit wide. And apply a relax. That's a bit too much. Let's make this 0.85. No, not 0.5, 85. Relax. Give it 2 iterations, and that just smooths out that over there. I'm going to bring this selection up 1 because I want to get these 2 vertices as well. We do the same thing. Relax. 2 iterations. That just looks much nicer. So we'll collapse that down, and there is our eyebrow inner raise. So eyebrow inner raise. So that is the most complicated flex of the whole set. So once again, we undo our changes, get back to the default, which is that. Go back a little bit farther before I select verify. Okay, so now we do the next inner eyebrow set, which is much easier in comparison. Just pull these down, grab these vertices, and pull them down. We'll grab these vertices, pull them down, bring them in slightly. There we go. Eyebrow inner lower is the name of that frame. And then we do that. And next is the outer. So we will, I think we want to grab the ones up above. Sure, we'll go 4 in. Looks like I started selecting the wrong one. Go. And then we bring these down. And then grab these. That. Eyebrow upper lower. There we go. same selected. We will pull them up individually first. And then we will grab these. Whoops. These. Put those up a little bit. And we do eyebrow raise. Okay, so that's the minefield with Borderlands models, is the eyebrows. And now that the eyebrows are done, the rest of this should be smooth sailing. So, just move on down the face. We've already done the eyelids. So we'll do the cheeks. So first one we'll do is the cheek raise flex. So we'll grab these vertices. And we'll make this a fairly wide selection. 2. We'll just kind of prototype this. Yeah, that looks pretty good. So we will raise this, bring it this way, and then we need to grab the eyelashes, which are a separate mesh. Turn on that so I can sort of see these better. There we go. And then we put these up and out. And then it looks like these eyelashes actually need to come up a little bit. Looks like this one might actually need to be rotated a bit. I don't even quite know what this is a part of. I'll bring it. And I'll bring this up and over that way. And then we do the same over here. Do 0.5. Bring you over this way. Forward a little bit. Something like that. There we go. So there's our cheek raise. Okay, once again we undo. Okay, so that's that. So now we'll do the cheek puff, and the way I do that is I take the corner of the mouth, the corner of the eye, and sort of trace out where they intersect, which is probably that one, and bring it up a little bit. So here's where the meat of the cheeks are, is those vertices. And we make this fairly large, with a fairly large bubble, maybe not that large. And then we just kind of, that's a bit too much. Let's make this 1.65. Yeah, there we go. It works. And so we do the initial puff. And we make this larger. We fluff it out. Here we go. So that is the cheek puff. And then we select those same frames. We do 1.75. And then we scale these in. And then we make this smaller and scale it in a bit more. And shrink it in those directions. That is our cheek concave. And then you might notice that all of the flexes that I make are fairly exaggerated. And the reason I do that is depending on what you're doing, you might want exaggerated expressions. If you're doing something comedic, where you want the facial expressions to convey some sort of funny aspect, you might want exaggerated flexes. And Source Filmmaker, unlike Gary's mod, does not allow you to extend the range of a flex. The maximum value is whatever the modeler set the flex to. You can't go beyond its limits, which is a unfortunate reality with Source Filmmaker is one of the things I do like about Gary's Mods Faceposer is it allows you to go beyond it. And so I just take the chance of building the flexes stronger than they would realistically be in the event that someone wants that capability, so they won't have to resort to fighting with the bone to try and exaggerate the expression. So with the cheeks done, next up is the nose. And so I'm going to grab these vertices right around the curve of the nostrils. I'm going to make this bubble smaller, make this smaller, and then we'll just go like that. That's a good nose wrinkle. So that's the nose wrinkler. And then we'll just scale it out this way. That's a good nose flare. So we do that. Okay, and now we're on to the lip flexes. So before I get carried away, something I do want to do is I want to do the mouth corner flexes. These are flexes that I traditionally do with bones, but given how terrible of quality this model's mouth bones are rigged, I did not. So I'm going to get rid of the bubble and make this a relatively small set. And the mouth corner flexes are purely supportive. They are absolutely not meant to be used by themselves. And so these will look really strange by themselves. But these are purely meant to be manipulated while the mouth is open to help give shape to the mouth. So this is lip corner raise. And so trust me, when I make these and they look really strange by themselves, in practice, when used properly, they give the correct shape corrections. That was a bit repetitive and redundant, but it's also 12:50, 50 past midnight for me, so I'm a bit on the tired side. Corner in. And then probably the least useful of them, but I built it for posterity's sake. Corner front. So now that the mouth corner flexes are made, I will go on to making the lip flexes themselves. So again, just moving down the face, we start with the top lip. And so I use the soft selections tracing to select the relevant vertices. We will make this a bit on the larger side. There it goes. So I'm going to rotate and clip in here so that I can see these vertices. Pull out. That is indeed ones I want to move. This model has disjointed mouth mesh. I can see the top of the mouth is right there. So I need to grab those as well, so that this works correctly. So I will then come up here and grab this next row of vertices. There we go. So there's our lip top raise. And then pull it down. I go to just below the bottom of the bottom lip. And it's just kind of my rule of thumb is the gum line for raise, bottom of bottom lip for lower. Okay, and then lip top out, I go to the tip of the nose. Lip top out. There we go. And then for the curls require a little bit of guesswork. For the end, you generally want it around here. We'll bring it up a bit, in a bit. Yeah, there we go. Here we go. I kind of want to tuck it in underneath the teeth. Just clipping a little bit, so I'll bring it down a little bit. There we go. So there's our lip top curl in. Curl in. we are currently 30 minutes in. We're almost done, probably another 10 minutes, so 30 40 minutes I originally said. Now, this is taking a little bit longer for me, both because I'm tired and because I am commentating as I go. So I'm going to put it right on that green vertex. Okay, I'm going to pull it up a little bit. There we go. So there's the top curl out. Okay, so that's the top lip flexes. So next is the lower lip flexes. And then we do this much the same way. We use the soft selection to guide. Test. I want to grab those vertices, so we'll rotate up this way. And grab those vertices. Down, and then we can see there's quite a bit of inner mouth mesh that we need to select. So we will go and do exactly that. So that's that one. And then there's also those green ones. Where are those green ones? Oh, there's that, which isn't actually what I wanted, I don't think. Now I think I'm going to select this. Okay. I think if I grab these outer blue ones, then I will grab the ones that I actually want through association. Yeah, I do. Cool. Okay, and then I'll come down and select these two rows, as the bottom lip is usually, almost always, more voluminous, larger than the top lip, and so it usually has more vertices associated to it. I'm going to bring this section down one more because it was kind of doing an unyieldy crease. Here we go. And we'll just kind of do that for the lower lip, bottom lower. Up. So something about there. Bottom raise. And then, whoops, bottom out. Using the same metrics as with the top ones to determine how far to go with these. And then for the curls, probably about there for curl in. Ooh. A little bit off. Let's bring it down a bit. Try right there. Okay, let's go in a bit. Let's go in a bit more. Here we go. That's looking pretty good for a bottom lip curl in for lip bite. Bottom curl in. And for curl out, probably about right there. Yeah, that's looking pretty good. I'm going to actually do this in two parts because of that. I'm going to select this segment of her mouth and just lower it and tuck it inside and just kind of hide it inside her gum lines. I don't want to see that. There we go. And of course, little nuances like that, you'd have an incredibly hard time doing something like that using bones. And so this is what I mean by that direct vertex control. Between that and the ability to use the relax modifier to get rid of creases, rather than using lots of helper bones to pull the offending vertices out. I can just use a relax to smooth them out using direct vertex control. So that's that. So now we will do the emotive lips. And so we will select the corner. And, well, we got 0.75. Let's make that 0.85. And then I will put my cursor about right there. Okay, and I'll go up 30 degrees. And then I'll come right here on this viewport, put my cursor right there, and rotate it out 5 degrees. Yeah, 5 degrees actually looks pretty good. We'll do that. And then come over here and do the same thing. Cursor goes about right there. And comes up 30 degrees. I'm going to actually change my snap to be 5-degree intervals rather than 2.5. Okay, so I got a little bit of lip creasing right across here. So what I'll do is I'll select the vertices above that crease, these, and hit them with a relax. 2 iterations. There we go. So there is our small lip smile. Lips smile, small. And then we will undo all that. And then we will do the depressors. The depressors are the same general process. Ooh. With the exception of I don't rotate them forward, and obviously they're in a separate direction. And in this particular case, I need to really hit these with a relax. So I'm going to make this a smaller selection, like that. These are relaxed to get rid of those folds. Make it 4 iterations. Okay. And then I also need to come over here. Thank you. What are you doing? I don't know what it's doing. Well, I'll end up doing this. Just like these. Hit these with a relax. 3-point relax. There we go. Lips smile depressor. There we go, and then we'll do all of these again. There we go. And then we will do the conjointed lip flexes. And so I'm going to set this back to E5. We got the forward, which in practice does not get used very often, but it's a good little shape corrector. And then narrow, which will bring to about there. Pull that in, and then we will select these and correct that. That is lips narrow, small. And then we will do the other direction, which is out and back. And that is lips small, widen. Oh, widen, small. I kind of got derpy with my naming conventions. Let's do you probably lips smile small. You probably lips depressor small. There you go. So forward small, narrow small, depressor small, widen small. Okay. I derped my naming conventions there. That happens when I'm tired. Okay, so that's all the small sets. Next we'll make the large set. So we'll try this, and I kind of like it so the influence is just barely getting to the very center of the mouth. I can snap it up like this. Do the same over here. And again, as I said, these flexes are both supportive and exaggerated. They're not meant to be used in their full intensity, and in the case of the large smile and depressor flexes, they're not meant to be used by themselves. They're meant to be used as sort of a foundation for smugness in combination with the small smile is doing the majority of the work, combined with even a little bit of corners. And then I'm going to set this back down to a smaller selection. Select these vertices. Actually, select those vertices even. And then we hit this with a relax. And we'll do a 3-point relax. Just 2. There we go. So it's kind of a derpy smile by itself. I think it actually snapped this one forward 5 and that one forward 10, I think is what happened. So I'm just going to just rebuild that flex. It's not like it's difficult. So I'm going to come back over here, set you back to 1.55. 1.15, 1.15. 1.25, 1.25. There we go. 30. And let's do 10. We'll do 10. And if it looks odd again this time, then I'll know that's just the textures more than anything, and that the flex is actually symmetrical. So just select these 0.55. Relax. 3 iterations. Lapse 2. There we go. So smile big. Like I said, this is a support flex. It's not meant to be used by itself, and it's not meant to be used at full strength. It's mostly for smugness and is almost explicitly designed to be used in stereo, where one side of the mouth uses it and the other uses combinations of narrow to sort of move the mouth to one side, is the way that flex is designed to be used. So 1.25, and we'll do the depressors. And again, they go down 30 degrees. And then I need to select these and hit them with a relax. Ooh, that's actually a bit too much. We'll just do 2. With a wider selection. Interesting. Very interesting. I will select all these vertices and hit them for relax then. No, they don't want to relax, do they? Let's also select these vertices and see if I can get them to relax. No, they don't want to relax. Okay. It'll just stay in that current form then. And the depressors, especially the large depressors, are, in my experience, used very rarely. And again, unless you want to exaggerate it. So this one you might want to end up using the bones if you find yourself trying to get that exaggerated expression, just because it just doesn't want to behave that well with how low poly her face is. And with the weird topological flow of her face. Okay, so now we do the large flexes. So we'll do 1.25. And we'll do this. This is the lips forward big. And then we do the narrow. And we'll select the mouth interior, pull it in a bit. So that's lips big. And then the opposite, so widen. And back. And then this needs to be smoothed a little bit, so we'll just select these vertices, make it a smaller selection, hit them with relax. We'll do 2. There we go. Lips wide and big. Okay, so that is those flexes. So now we do the full lip flexes, and for that, I'm going to hide this, select all those, unhide all, hide those, so it's only the external lip flexes, or the lip mesh. If I could speak English, that'd be nice. And then I come around and I select these vertices. Do that. Okay, come back to polygon, unhide all. Okay, and then we do the forward. So I make this 0.85s, pulling a bit too much of that top lip. Go. So there is the lips forward, which is most commonly used for sucking animations, but you can also use it in conjecture with the lip lowers and lip curls to make a pucker. Combine it with lip narrow for a stronger pucker effect, and I just accidentally pulled one of the paddings off my earbuds. I'm going to have to hunt that down when I'm done with this video. So that's that flex. And then we'll come forward and do the narrow. And pull that forward out of the teeth. And then we'll grab these and pull them in to hide. And that's narrow, full. And then we do the crazy flex. This is the flex that your mother doesn't want you to know about. Well, it's one of the flexes. We'll get to the other ones. We'll start by widening the mouth. We're going to do some extreme widening of the mouth. So I'm going to select a few more vertices here. Please. We'll just keep on widening. We're going to get this widened to surreal levels, and as you can see, it's pretty fucking derpy. And so that is by design, because the next thing we do is select these edges, and then we slam on a metric fuckload of relax. So as you can see, I need to select a little bit more. That's fine. We just kind of go like that. It's still, here we go. So let's try 48. Okay, so it needs to be a wider soft select. Let's try 1.45. Off. 52. And that's looking a lot better. Let's try 24. And 24 is not looking too bad. And then we will collapse that too. It's rather interesting appearance for it to take, but it seems to only be when I'm in vertex mode. I don't know why 3ds Max does that, I won't lie. And then we would just sort of grab these, sort of pull them together. Grab these and manually pull them in. This one seems to be far worse than its mirrored sibling, which doesn't seem to be nearly as bad. So if you can't figure out the purpose of this particular flex, then I won't taint your innocent minds. But those who know what this flex is for and what it can do, you know what I'm talking about when I say that your mother doesn't want to know about this flex. And that's the full. Okay, and then we undo all that horrific distortion to the face. There we go. Okay, so that's all the lip flexes. Now there's only one thing left to flex. This is the flex that really sort of brought me into, oh, interesting. Ooh. Ooh. That might cause problems. I need to stitch that on the reference mesh. For now, we're not going to deal with it. This was the flex that sort of set me apart from the other flex creators in the source scene. Is this particular flex that nay a model, male or female, I have made has gone without since. No, of course, when I first started, it was only a single flex, and now it's 6 flexes, which I've just found through the years gives a lot more control in what you can do. So when you have it split into flexes like this way with a upper, middle, and lower, it allows you to do more complex animations like a swallow and such. And of course, it's got innocent applications, but it has far less than innocent implications too, and if you don't know what those are, if you can't think of them, I'm not going to ruin them for you. Because chances are, in that particular case, you don't know what it is I actually do. This with a little bit of bubble, this a bit, not that wide, but a little bit wider. 2.25. That's good. And then we come back to widen. We widen it. Widen. And then finally we grab probably that vertex. And we come back to 1. No bubble. Let's do 2. Okay, so this ended up taking a bit longer than I expected it to, but that's fine. Bulge that, or widen it rather. Widen. Okay, so that is the last of the flexes to be made. Here we go. And we look through and we see all the files are about the same size, plus or minus 1 kilobyte. And that's just a rounding point error with the positions. So with that done, we will generate the flex file using my personal tool, which I will actually have uploaded and available for free download in the description of this video after I upload it and come back and edit it when I'm not tired. So, Borderlands, Maya. And I'll crack open a new copy of this. We'll come back here. We will pull off FemShop V2. I want this VTA generate batch file. Over here. We run that. The name of the flex file is flex. The name of the folder is flex. The name of the base is base. And I do want them to be split. And then this runs my tool, which generates the flex file. That's what it's doing now. And the associated QCI. Then we come in here, we edit this. As in my infinite wisdom, when I made this tool, I didn't make it case sensitive. And so it generates a flex for the base when it shouldn't. So we just get rid of that. And it generates all of the controllers, binders, and the flex pairs needed automatically. So then we're going to come back over here. Excuse me. Oh. And we will just grab one of these. And we will rename this. And I don't have it ready for a formal compile, but we can do a rough compile just to make sure that the flexes do indeed work. And so we will just name you reference. You could be overridden eventually. We come in here. This is Borderlands. Maya. And this is a badass siren. That's not going to be included at all. That's not there yet. These aren't there yet. These aren't there yet. This is going to be Maya's hair. No body groups as of yet. No skin groups as of yet. These aren't there. These, and this will be Borderlands Maya. And then this is Maya. And then we launch Crowbar. And we just drop this on there and hit compile. Okay. And then we launch Half-Life Model Viewer. And we come over here. Borderlands Maya. Okay, so he's actually pulling the previous port attempts textures. That's actually rather interesting. Okay. And then we can hit random. And she is face posed. And of course we want something less terrifying. We can come over here. We will take the 4 smile flexes. So I can never fucking remember which is which. We'll just grab all 4 of them. I don't know why it does that sometimes. Sometimes when you change them, it does that. Looks like that is probably a small. Okay, that's a large. This is a small. And then we can come back farther over here. We can do the eyelid top lowers, which would be these. Lower. Oh, darn it. Eyelid top lower. Okay, so there's a little bit of clipping through her eye. It's not too bad though. I don't think in practice that'll be noticeable. There you go. She is face posed. That's that. Until next time, got it. Under an hour. Now let's just hope YouTube will actually let me upload this, because last time I uploaded a video about this long onto YouTube, it said, hey, it's all good, you can upload it. And it said, hey, you need to verify your account, then we'll let you upload it. And so I verified it. And said, hey, you don't have to delete your video if it's become available. And 2 days later, it still hasn't become available yet. Kind of upset with YouTube about that, but what can you do? Let's just hope this one goes better. Until next time.